It could be that every winter solstice and Christmas Day draws me back to the time and place where I learned deep heartbreak. Welcome to NVC Life. I'm Rachelle Lamb, veteran NVC trainer and relationship coach, helping listeners navigate interpersonal conflict and ground more deeply into relational living. Greetings, fellow humans. In just 2 days from now, it will be winter solstice in the Northern Hemisphere. I don't know about you, but here on the west coast of Canada, where I live, when November comes around, I find myself dreading what I would describe as a feeling of tightness, the sense of being confined and trapped in a vice grip of darkness. Ooh. It lasts about 3 weeks, and eventually I reorient myself. And not only do I surrender to the season, but also I deeply savor it and wonder why I felt so much resistance to begin with. The older I get, with each revolution around the sun, I find that the period of dread is much less acute. I've done it enough times to know that I will eventually relax into the slowing down. I will relish the various hues of darkness and appreciate the great mystery that cradles all of life. I will say amen to it, and again wonder why I don't welcome it more enthusiastically. But I recognize, too, that enthusiasm isn't the only way to welcome a season or a visitor. The darkness seems to call more for reverence and sobriety than enthusiasm, but that's just me. It might be entirely different for you. It could be that I'm reminded of how it was that 45 years ago, the heavy burden of my mother's illness from cancer, and the fact that she was in the last week of her life, which I didn't quite know, but was about to learn on Christmas Day when she died. It could be that that very solemn time, which was so incredibly painful and frightening to me as a 21-year-old who could simply not imagine not having a mother in her life. It could be that every winter solstice and Christmas Day draws me back to the time and place where I learned deep heartbreak. And so, reverence. But at this time in my life, the memory of my mother's death doesn't mean that there's no place for joy. If anything, my appreciation for life is deeper than ever. I really do love this time of year. I love how dark it gets and how a single candle casts a halo of soft amber light as it flickers. I love how the darkness invites me to see differently. I'm reminded of David Whyte's poem, Sweet Darkness, where he says, "Time to go into the dark where the night has eyes to recognize its own. There you can be sure you are not beyond love. The dark will be your womb tonight. The night will give you a horizon further than you can see." Certainly, there's a different quality of seeing. Author and cultural activist Stephen Jenkinson wrote the following in one of his December newsletters years ago. He wrote, "The aching beauty of this time of year as it comes to northern-born peoples, at least to those not utterly conned by the promise of January beaches as the booby prize for a boreal birth, is the beauty of a time that neither compliments nor condemns people's plans. The season is another being, another presence. It is a god, nothing less, and the winter god's presence is neither negotiable nor an extension of how we feel about these shortest days, this blackest sky, this stillest air, or anything else. Darkness is not a metaphor for some inner condition of a person, any more than an ancestor is a symbol or an image for how a person might feel about where or who they are from. Darkness, and this is all there is to see and learn right now, is a living thing. Not a being exactly. Being is too static for this, too focused on some essence or other. No, darkness is a way that life has of living according to its nature. Darkness is how life comes to know itself best, and we get to see life doing so. Stillness is how we get to overhear life murmuring to itself. Darkness isn't where things nefarious and malevolent go to hide, laying in wait for innocence to amble past. It isn't empty. And stillness isn't waiting to be interrupted with purposeful sound, a staging area for eloquence or consequence. Stillness is where eloquence is headed. Stillness is eloquence's midwife and cradle and resting place. That is so beautifully articulated. I have always enjoyed poetry and poetic language. In fact, a few years ago, I was writing quite a bit of poetry. Then the pandemic struck and I found myself suddenly quiet. Nothing would flow from my pen. The page remained blank. The muse had vanished, probably covered her face with an N95 mask and found refuge somewhere in the wild. There was nothing to say, and even if there was something to say, I had no idea what it was. But prior to the pandemic, I had written poems specifically for this time of year. And I'm thinking, maybe if I read them, the muse who accompanied me in those days might overhear me and be coaxed out of hiding and return to me. Either way, the following two poems that I'm going to share with you have been widely read and circulated, and I will include links to them in case you'd like to read them on solstice. Here goes. O night, O you, beautiful mistress shrouded in blacks, walking the shimmering path of darkness, your hush of deep silences, soft and arousing, the fragrance of mystery in your sway. I wish to court you. I wish to court you. Would that I could apprentice myself to your raven black loom and array of weaves, that gossamer stitch barely holding together those two disparate lands, wakefulness and sleep, where possibility tosses and turns and slumbers, and birth is dreaming of itself. Would that you might know me, dark lady, more than I know myself. Come, be my lover of delight and rapture, under the loamy bedcovers of the sensual wild, where cries of praise and ecstasy keep the earth spinning on her axis of beauty. O night, would that you could be so wondrously revered when you claim the throne on winter's first day, and as yearned for as the light that spills onto our days. Would that we might deepen into the mystery that lives within the folds of the lush dark robes of your seasons. And so I ask, who yonder is on the night watch? Who is it who draws that thick and heavy holy mantle of starlit blackness across the firmament? O night, O you, beautiful mistress shrouded in blacks, I wish to court you. I wish to court you. And here is the second poem. Praise to the holy dark. I am in no great haste to call in the light. No, instead I will be still. Lay down a garland of devotion before our mistress of the night, and convene a generous wonder. I will sit in reverence before her, her cauldron of vast mystery, her velvet swaths of starry cloth, obsidian black and raven wise, her charitable amaranthine horizon. I will curl up inside her womb, become a scholar to her mystic ways, attentive to her Delphic whispers that obey their own arcing rhythm. Perhaps in her dreams I shall become an owl, a wolf, or a majestic stag, a quickening rune in her deep pocket. Happy solstice, dear friends, and also happy holidays. If you find yourself wondering, how is this NVC? How is this meeting needs? Well, I'm adopting the view here that life itself has needs, and that the darkness will find itself feeling less lonely when I speak to it with appreciation. And I hope you can join me in that appreciation. This is the final episode of 2023. Next Tuesday is Boxing Day, and I will be with family and grandchildren, and I imagine, and also hope, that most listeners will turn off screens and devices so they can be present to loved ones, be present to life, and attuned to what our beautiful planet requires from us as humans in these challenging times. Again, I wish you all the very best of the season, and I look forward to reconnecting in 2024. Thank you for tuning into NVC Life. For future episodes, be sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube. For free resources or to book a private session with me, head over to RachelleLamb.com. Until the next time, stay sane, grateful, and generous.